Hey guys, diagnose here. There's a debate about whether or not aim trainers can give you good aim. So I made a video to show you what happened to my own aim after playing an aim trainer for 30 days. For this challenge, I decided to use something I was already familiar with and went with Kovaaks FPS Aim Trainer. I know there are free aim trainers out there such as Aim Labs, but I had more experience using Kovaaks in the past, so that's why I chose it for this challenge. But if you want to see me do something like this again in the future with Aim Labs, leave a comment and let me know. Before I show you how it affected my aim, there is a few things I need to mention. At first, I was originally going to track my progress on a graph and then show the results, but then after I thought about it, I changed my mind. There's already plenty of videos out like that, and for some of these scenarios, I was already in the top 5% of all players before the challenge, so it didn't make a lot of sense for people to be looking at my scores and then comparing themselves to me. Secondly, my graphs don't really show the potential in aim training. Although, don't get me wrong, I did make improvements in every single scenario, but it's just unrealistic to expect the same kind of jump a newer player would see in their performance with aim training versus someone who's a bit more experienced with aim training. That brings me to my next point. It wouldn't be fair of me to pretend like I didn't have good aim before this challenge and that this is my first time playing aim trainers. I do have almost 400 hours in Kovaaks FPS Aim Trainer already, and I don't claim to have the best aim in the world, but it's no secret to viewers of my channel that I've got substantially better aim than the average player. That said, I did feel my improvements start to stagnate recently, so that's why I decided to go back to the basics. And thus began my 30-day challenge. If you've never played an aim trainer like Kovaaks before, it can be a bit overwhelming with the amount of scenarios that are out there. The important thing when it comes to finding the scenarios that are worthwhile is that just because something's popular doesn't mean it's good. There's quite a few scenarios that are in the spotlight because everyone plays them. These maps are popular because they're fun and because everyone wants to see how they stack up with their friends. And you can still play these maps, but don't prioritize them and don't only play the fun maps. I picked the maps that I picked because A, I knew I had some improvement that I could make on them, or B, because they're good fundamental maps that have helped me in the past. These are by no means the only good maps in Kovaaks that I recommend. In fact, there's so many good maps on Kovaaks that I would recommend not doing what I did, and that is to play one playlist straight for 30 days. If I had to do this again, I would most definitely spread my training throughout multiple playlists. That said, if you're looking for the exact playlist that I did use, I do have a download link in my Discord channel, along with download links to other playlists that I've made, and instructions for how to import them into your game. Here's the quick rundown. The 8 maps that I played during my 30 days were Bounce 180, One Wall 5 Targets Pasu, One Wall 6 Targets Small, Mid-Range Smoothness Training, Smooth Thin Strafes, Thin Aiming Long, Close Long Strafes, and Ground Plaza No UFO. Like I mentioned earlier, there's already plenty of videos out there that go over tables and graphs for how people's scores improve over time, so I'm not going to bore you with that. Instead, I'm going to talk about some observations that I had throughout this process. Right off the bat, one of the first things that I noticed within the first week was I was relearning how to relax my hand. Something I talked about in my How to Get Good Aim video, which I'll have linked in the description, is the importance of keeping your hand relaxed. In a controlled environment like an aim trainer, it's much easier to practice this, as you can see how it affects your aim in real time. An example of this is the scenario One Wall 6 Targets Small. In a map like this, you need to keep your wrists and hands loose enough to be able to quickly switch from target to target, but you also have to keep enough tension on your mouse so you're not constantly missing. It's very easy to overlook details like this, but this is one of the things that aim trainers can train very well. These sort of small details that you would otherwise gloss over. Another thing that aim trainers train well and gets brought up more often is mouse control, which is the raw ability for someone to control their mouse in order to make quick, smooth, and precise movements with it regardless of sensitivity. This is something I've personally experienced with my prior aim training before the video, but this 30-day challenge was no different. By the end of it, I definitely felt more confident with my mouse control, and my gameplay reflected this. I was able to stay calm and have faith in my ability to aim in some pretty tricky situations. Another thing that I found is that it helped my consistency. Now, I will admit that I didn't do 30 days straight. I did take some days off to rest my hand, and in fact, I also recommend you do the same if you ever feel like you need to rest your hand, because it's not worth it to overdo it. Now that said, playing almost every day gave me somewhat of a baseline that I could start expecting from myself. And one of the benefits I gained from doing this was I was able to observe the small things that helped me. For example, on days where I aim trained on an empty stomach, I played much worse. I realize that isn't groundbreaking research or anything, as people have realized that for quite a while now, but I was able to experience it firsthand because I had that baseline established. I'm telling you guys right now, the little details definitely make a difference. The amount of sleep someone gets, what their nutrition is like, how much caffeine they've had, all these things affect your aiming performance. And this becomes much clearer once you have a baseline established from aim training every day. It's one thing to hear this, but it's an entirely different thing to see it unfold for yourself. Now going back to this idea of having a baseline established, not only can you use it to tell you what small details affect your aim, but you can also use it to tell you when you're warmed up. Warming up before you play FPS games is one of the biggest known pieces of advice to help you aim, and I found aim trainers to be a great way to do that. So that's all great, but here comes the part that many of you may not want to hear. While aim trainers are awesome, and I 100% saw an aim improvement while using one, it's still very important to train aim inside the game you're playing. If you want the best aim you can possibly have, then it's not enough just to use an aim trainer. You gotta do both. And I just feel I have to put that disclaimer in here because some people get too hung up on their high score in aim trainers. Aim trainers will definitely help you improve your aim, but you shouldn't neglect playing real games against actual players. Overall, this 30-day challenge or experiment or whatever you want to call it has ultimately been pretty productive. I saw score improvements across the board. I was able to learn more of the small details that affect my aim, such as how much caffeine I should have, for example. I was playing more confidently. I found a baseline to help me tell if I was warmed up or not. So all in all, I think it was definitely worth it. But what do you think? Have you used an aim trainer in the past, and how did it affect your aim? Let me know in the comments. I'll likely be making more content around aim training, so if you have any topics you want me to cover, also let me know. Thanks for watching. If you guys have any questions, I will have my Discord link down below, or you can also leave them in the comments. If you guys liked the video, make sure to hit the like button, and for more content like this, consider subscribing.